Hey there, folks. Dan Fitter from Caliber Magazine, doing a bit of a different video for a change. Instead of discussing gun policy and politics, we'll be talking about a pretty specific article that has come out as of today about the really tragic death of 5 people in Sault Ste. Marie, 4 of those being the victims of the 5th who killed himself in a different house. This article came out in the Sault Ste. Marie local news. It's very inflammatory and very frustrating because this crime is obviously indicative of a very important subset of crimes, being intimate partner violence and that sort of thing. And for this article to have come out in the manner that it has it's inflammatory, it's distracting, it's unprofessional, and it serves no purpose other than to further the political agenda of, in this particular case, 2 anti-gun groups. Now, why I say all that is this article is, I'm going to draw your attention to a few things. First off, as you guys can see in the top left corner of the little clip there, it is local news. This is not an op-ed. This is being sold as news. This is fact. However, when you parse the entire article for what I will call facts versus attributable words, what I mean by that would be, a fact would be the police served a search warrant and found a long gun and a handgun in the guy's home. An attributable word would be Dr. Ahmed says that guns in the home increase the risk of suicide. When you compare the number and volume of those words, there are 305 words of fact, roughly. There are 694 words of attributable opinion, those coming entirely from Dr. Ahmed from the Canadian Doctors for Protection from Guns, and another lady from the Coalition for Gun Control, whose name unfortunately escapes me, and I'm not going to reread the entire article again because it's very frustrating. Obviously, both of those groups are very prominent anti-gun lobby groups in Canada, actively engaged, as we know, with the government on a lot of their policy right now. Why I say this is frustrating is because throughout this entire article, which has come out very quickly after the crime, which we know very little about. In fact, there's only 305 words of fact in this article. They reach a lot of conclusions that I don't think will be borne out in the investigation later on. And they seem to be basically prejudicial. I don't know how else to put it. And I know I'm using a lot of inflammatory words here, but that's what this is. If you read through this article, and I would defy anyone that's listening to this and thinking I'm lying, I would defy you to go read the article and try and find any mention of the fact that the individual who is believed to have committed this crime had also been charged with assaulting a police officer, had multiple run-ins with significant mental health issues, in addition to other crimes, and a reputation for kind of just being a violent jerk. Given all of those things, there's multiple things in that background that would prevent a Canadian from obtaining a firearms license or keeping one if you have one. There's a thing called continuous eligibility. For everyone that has a gun license, we are run against a background check daily to make sure that things like assaulting a police officer isn't something we did yesterday. Because if you're the kind of person to, I don't know, attack a cop, you probably shouldn't have guns, and newsflash, that's what the Canadian law says. This individual clearly somehow did, and even the police chief in Sault Ste. Marie has said, we need to know where these guns came from. And now we've got an article already out saying what we should do. If that's not prejudicial, I don't know what is, and it's extremely frustrating as someone who works in this industry, but who generally thinks that we should have good gun policy, not just more gun control or less gun control. There's a right amount and there's a good amount, and that's what we should probably aim for. And it's so frustrating to see every single tragic event. And believe me, I have kids. This stuff hits super hard. I can't imagine the pain that it hit. I care. I want this stuff to stop. I live in a town that has the highest crime rate in Canada. If you think that I care about anything other than public safety when I discuss these things, you're delusional. And I don't see how having Dr. Ahmed and another lobbyist host over 2/3 of your article in your local news on this. We are so deep down the rabbit hole. This isn't some generic article printed out of Montreal. This is the Sault Ste. Marie local newspaper pursuing 2 anti-gun lobbyists to write the majority of the content on the worst crime in that town in a long time. And if I'm getting a little angry, yeah, I am, because it's very frustrating for me, not only as a gun person who works in that world and covers gun policy, but also as someone who's worked in media for 23 years of my life. It frustrates the crap out of me because I don't just see this as someone that observes gun stuff. I see this as someone who tries to present fact. tries to present statistical stuff. That's why a lot of the videos that you see me talk about, I'll always reference how references are in the description. This article here will be in the description. I think it's a terrible article. I don't think people should read it. It's just platforming bad stuff. But if I'm going to talk about it, I'm going to present it to you because that's what media should do. Present facts. And if you're going to host debate in an op-ed section, you host a debate. You don't platform one side and then wait to see what happens. That's why media has lost so much trust. And this is why it also treads onto a second issue that we're confronting and why it's a bit of a different video. Bill C-18, this is the bill that is effectively going to ban alphanumeric news content from Google and Facebook. I would defy any Canadian to try and start a company that cannot be found on Google or Facebook and be profitable. It's almost an impossible task. And the reason why C-18 has been facing so little public pushback is because people don't trust journalists. The net gain for trust in journalists right now is at 1%. Like military members are something like 24% trust amongst the public right now. Like this is insane that journalists are among the least trusted professionals in this country. And this article is an exact reason why. Because you go out there, you spend 300 words saying, oh, well, they found a search warrant, blah, blah. You dig into the facts with this much effort, and then you host almost 700 words of opinion that is totally irrelevant to the issue at hand, distracts from the investigation, if anything, only misinforms. Because people will read this, they'll reach conclusions, and they'll go, oh, well, look at all these things that they said. Now everything that comes out that counters this, that is a fact that is untrue, like, hey, let's find out, guy didn't have a POW. So it's actually completely outside of the entire gun control system. It's Portapique 2.0. Well, people already know this stuff. Now they're talking about, well, we should get rid of the AR-15s and stuff because, those doctors said so in that first article, which is totally irrelevant to the issue. And it matters. And even if you hate the AR-15, you love this stuff, you think no one should have a gun. The problem is the government is short-staffed. Everyone is short-staffed and underfunded right now. If they're spending their time trying to figure out how to appease your stupid anti-gun politics for no reason, they are not spending their time doing things like enforcement, which brings me to the second point, because there's going to be a lot of nuanced debate. I'm sure there probably will be around this article. Oh, suicide this, and people post their stats about, whether or not guns in the home actually do make it more likely to commit suicide. I've always thought the whole thing was stupid because it's kind of like saying, well, if you got a pool in the backyard, you're more likely to have a drowning. It's just a thing. Yeah, if you have a gun in the house, you're more likely to die from a gun than if there is no gun in the house. It's just a fact. Like if you have no knives in the house, you probably won't get stabbed. But that's not the way the world works. I get so frustrating. Back to the main point. There will be a lot of very nuanced debate with people putting up a ton of stats and trying to argue. That's because people like to argue. The basic fact is a guy broke a metric ton of laws, committed a heinous crime. The solution is not more laws. This should be pretty simple, right, guys? Like, this is not rocket science. Surely this is pretty logical. Man breaks a ton of laws, including the really big one against murder, which is what we've kind of always been told since we were kids. And the answer is, let's pass some more laws. That'll solve the problem. That'll make them go away. This makes no sense. It makes absolutely no sense. It's like students or parents standing outside a school zone and saying, man, these people are speeding right past, they don't care. And going, we should lower the speed limit. No, you don't. You say we need a police officer to stand out here one morning and do a speed trap. That's what you do. Because when people are breaking existing laws, you need to examine why your laws are not being enforced. You don't need to add more laws. Adding more laws is adding workload, which is why I said the government's understaffed, underfunded. Every time you say, let's ban a gun, a bunch of people in public safety have to go do this stuff. And it's absolutely insane that they have to then spend a bunch of their time pursuing these when police officers, police chiefs, the head of the RCMP all say this stuff won't work. It's just a fool's errand, and it is pursuing political gains, and we are losing public safety as a result. Canada is less safe now than when the guns were still around. Even if you hate the AR-15, when he banned the AR-15 in 2020, by he, I mean Justin Trudeau, we were safer. The gun crime rate's gone up since then, because they're spending all of their time on this instead of going, well, maybe we should hire some more police. They're talking a lot in the news lately about how Montreal has seen a 30% reduction in gun crime. They're saying that this is attributable to the bans. No, it's not. They spent a metric ton of money hiring police. You can look that up. It's an absolutely trivial fact. I'll put it in the description below again. They hired a ton of cops with a bunch of funding, and the crime went down. Because the existing laws that we've had in this country since Confederation work pretty freaking well when you enforce them. We don't need to keep adding them. And if you are a media member, I'm going to say it very clearly. If you're going to cover this stuff, I will make a video like this for every article you write that is one of these opinionated BS things. If you want it to be that way, put an op-ed on it. I don't care. Then it's an op-ed. You can have whatever opinion you want, but you cannot host these opinions and call them fact. And to do so, as a local editor in a smaller town, in the days after when everyone is struggling to find answers, to provide them with this answer is it is morally repugnant, and it's a huge disservice. It's a professional abdication of your responsibility. I don't know how else to put it than that. It is absolutely ridiculous. You are part of the problem. You are leading to the reduction in trust in media, and I hate it. So please stop. That's about all I got. That's the end of the rant because I don't want to get too deep into these things. For those that have their own potential mental health issues, maybe PTSD, anxiety, like I always like to close these videos out with. If you're having trouble, because it's pretty tough times these days, pick up the phone and call someone. They'll like to hear from you. You never know. Maybe they're dealing with their own stuff, and it's nice to know they're not alone. So you might be able to help someone out. If you like the video, as all the YouTubers always say, like, comment, subscribe. As usual, I'll be in the comments answering questions and whatnot for at least the first couple days. And there will be a video coming out, I believe, tomorrow on where we kind of sit with Bill C-21 as it works its way through the Senate. There have been 2 committee hearings. I'll fill you guys in on those, as well as I'm going to post some of the actual committee hearing testimony, because yesterday there was some phenomenal testimony from academics who have studied firearms in Canada, as well as actually one of the academics from the Royal Military College who spoke very strongly in opposition to Bill C-21 as a total waste of time. So I'll be posting those as well on our YouTube channel. Look for those. So like I said, if you want to see those, like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one. Thanks, guys.